What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Trading, and today we're going to be correcting some wide receiver mistakes. So we're going to be looking at three specific routes. So we're going to be talking about some of the mistakes wide receivers make on double moves, some of the mistakes they make when they're against press coverage running a slant route, and then some of the mistakes wide receivers make on a fade route. So I hope this video gives you guys some value, and I hope it teaches you a few new things, corrects a few aspects of your game that maybe you make this mistake. A lot of them, maybe it's some mistakes that you may not even know that you're making. So again, hope this video gives you guys some value, but also, fellas, if you're a wide receiver, a lot of the times during the season, guys lose speed. They lose that explosiveness. They lose that burst off the line of scrimmage. But if you guys want to be able to keep that and maintain the gains that you've made in the offseason, check out that very first link in the description for our in-season 28-day wide receiver gym plan. It's all the specific exercises broken down to a specific plan made for during the season. We make sure that you maintain the speed, maintain the explosiveness, and maintain all the above that you've built during the offseason. So check out that very first link in the description for that, fellas. 4 weeks of workouts. Let's get started. So this route right here, this is like a sluggo route, right? So the main thing is that this is obviously a great play by the DB. Great job staying disciplined. Great job watching his eyes. But the thing that the receiver could have done is actually sell down that 45-degree angle on this sluggo, or even if it was like a hitch and go, the same kind of thing applies, right? So you see when he gets to this break, he does a good job of getting this DB to commit his hips. He does a good job of pushing vertical, good job of going outside. But when he breaks this thing down, this is where the route starts to kind of falter, and this DB's easily sitting on this thing. So nobody's going to run an under route. Nobody's going to run a slant route with these big, long strides or these big choppy steps or these slow strides, right? So you see when he goes down this sluggo, how much he reaches. You guys got to understand that what sells a route is your upper half, right? So what a lot of receivers don't do is that they think that them reaching at the top of the break, them reaching out for the depth, reaching for the cut is going to get them separation, is going to get a DB to bite. The only thing that's going to serve to do is slow you down. It's no different than when guys will run a comeback route and at the top of the break, like let's say it's a 15 back to 12, they'll reach to get to 15. They'll reach way outside of their frame. They'll drag their back foot. All that does is slow you down, and this is an indicator that you're not actually running this way. You have to make it look like you're going. Everything about this has to look like a slant. Everything about this, if it were like an out and up, has to look like an out. That first move has to be so particular. You got to have speed, you got to have explosion, and you got to be a salesman, right? So when he reaches out for this cut like he does, and he reaches for it, one, that'll slow him down. He doesn't get burst. Indicator, like I said, indicator the DB's going to sit on this thing. He doesn't believe that you're actually running. If we were going to run a sluggo, you want your feet to be sudden. Like let's say he was going to take 3 steps, right? 1, 2, 3, like he took. First off, those 2 steps at the top were a little bit choppy. You obviously want to be able to burst and you want to actually run down this line, but those steps have to be in full stride and they have to be a quick change of direction. So make sure you commit your hips, make sure you commit your shoulders if we were trying to get a DB to bite on a double move. So those 3 steps have to be long steps. You got to be bursting off of that cut to really force this DB to sit on that slant and get him to commit. Let's watch the thing again, full speed one more time. Just make sure, fellas, that we don't reach out for the cut. We're not trying to over-exaggerate anything. It's all about speed, it's all about committing your body language, and it's all about committing your eyes down that specific first part of the double move. Let's watch it again, full speed. Just make sure that we're bursting out, fellas. We're not reaching for that cut to really draw this DB in. Okay, so now, second clip we're going to be looking at here is this kind of slide release slant, okay? So now, this is something that a lot of people use, and a lot of people can do this slide release very, very well. Now, this is just one of those examples where I think we had the DB, I think we got him to freeze. It's just the cut is what slowed me down, and we got a little bit stuck at the top of the break, right? So let's watch this thing full speed. So he does a great job of sliding, but again, he makes this cut with his toe open, so we don't get enough acceleration, and we don't get enough explosion over the middle. So let's talk about it. So this is something that a lot of receivers struggle with. So he does a good job. Let's talk about the good first. He slides off the line of scrimmage, right? He does a good job of pushing vertical and trying to attack the DB. He's not making this slide release behind the line of scrimmage like so many people do, and he's not getting too close to where this DB could get hands and just knock him off this platform. He's sliding at that 45-degree angle where this DB is forced to make a decision, right? So that's a positive. He's very patient with this release. DB's forced to shuffle with him because if he wants to get hands, he has to lose his base. So that's a great job. Now, when we get to the top of the break, this is just about finishing the rep. So you see when this receiver makes this cut, you see how his knee kind of opens up this way and his toe opens up this way, right? And again, these are some of the best athletes in the world. These are some of the top receivers in the world. I'm just making sure that we highlight the corrections that they can make so you guys can apply it to your game. That's really all I care about. All I really care about is the audience. I don't really care about whether these guys ran a good route or not. It's making sure that you guys understand these are the things that you need to do to run an efficient route. So when you open up your toe like this, you open up your hip. And so there's not much much of a burst. You see how like that inside arch of his foot is almost directed upfield, which is going to be right in the DB. But obviously we want to be able to slip underneath. We want to be able to cut underneath. And like I said, I think we got this DB to bite. I think we got him to shift his weight to the outside. It's just I got a little stuck at the top of this break. When I made this cut, it was kind of outside of my frame. I'm not really bursting. That shin angle isn't focused towards the inside. Everybody loves to talk about Jerry Jeudy when he makes his cuts, but it's for a lot of different people. That toe is not open. It's like, and that hip is not open. It's like that toe is pointed more straight forward and that inside arch is more so directed here. Because when you guys make that cut, you want to strike the foot on like, you want to strike the ground like on the balls of your feet, but you then want to drive off that inside arch, almost like a pitcher when he's pitching off of a mound. But the thing is when you open up that toe a little bit too far and that knee starts to open up, your hip starts to open up, you get stuck and you don't have much burst out. You have like kind of a bop up, like your pad level pops up, and that takes away that explosion that you could have. When you're throwing a cut, when you're throwing a double move, it's all about being sudden with your feet, really focus on being explosive, but the foot placement and where you're striking the ground is everything when it comes to creating explosion and generating force. Because if you can generate force off of this cut, it can turn into explosion. It's no different than when you're running like a curl route and you got to snap down at the top of the break. You're trying to drop your hips and be violent so you can create energy, so that energy can turn into acceleration. But at the same time, you're trying to stop yourself, right? So same idea here. You're trying to stop yourself. You're trying to plant, but you're trying to create energy. But if you don't strike the ground properly, that's going to kill that explosion. I'm not going to be able to get out of it. And you see how this DB is able to make a play on it, because trust me, this guy knows he got beat. When you slide him off the platform and he goes with you and you make a move and he gets a little stuck himself, he knows he got beat. So he's going to be doing everything in his power to try to recover and to try to get back over the top to make this play. So we got to make sure that that doesn't happen by having an efficient cut and being able to explode out of the break. So make sure, fellas, that when we make that cut, we're in an efficient spot with my feet so I can strike the ground properly. Let's watch the thing again full speed. Just make sure, fellas, we don't open up that toe and we don't get stuck at the top of that route. All right, guys, another thing I want to talk about today is our sponsor, A&G Lab supplements, okay? So what it is, these are two great supplements made specifically for athletes. They have a pre-workout supplement called Pre-Dominance 2.0 and Pro Dominance. What you guys can do is you guys get 15% off your first order if you use the promo code FIRST15, so FIRST15 at checkout. They're great products to help you guys improve your strength, improve your muscle mass, gain a little bit of weight if that's what you guys need to do, and just improve your overall performance. So check out that second link in the description, fellas. Use the promo code FIRST15 to get a 15% discount at checkout. Hope you guys can check out their supplements. Really great for athletes. Let's get back to this video. So now, first things first here on this release. Now we're going to talk about the mistake that guys will make on a fade route, right? So this receiver was kind of the thing that we talk about all the time. He forces that outside release. And you see this DB's obviously able to make a play, but this is really the spot. Like, even if he doesn't fall, you see how far he is, how close he is to the sideline, right? So when you're about a yard from the sideline, even if you have this DB by a step, that is such a hard throw for this quarterback, because the DB is going to be trailing you. So this quarterback's probably not going to drop this thing right here because he doesn't want to throw it out of bounds. He's got to keep it in the rectangle. So he'll probably bring you inside a little bit more, which allows this DB to have a play on it. This DB played this thing perfectly. The sideline is going to be his help. So let's talk about this whole play as an entirety, right? So pre-snap, I see that this DB's lined up probably head up. In a situation where it's like one-on-ones, especially like, and again, this isn't real football. Like it's one-on-ones, it's a camp. Like it's not a real situation, because you see NFL guys all the time work situations where they're outside shade and it's one-on-ones, and it's like, why is he even doing that? It's because they're working a situation where he has safety help, right? And you see it a lot when you guys get guys out of the slot. But when you're to the outside, you're an outside receiver and you have man coverage, assume that he's probably trying to force you to the sideline, right? So when I come off the line of scrimmage, you see how this receiver, he doesn't really threaten him anywhere. He's working behind the line of scrimmage. He doesn't necessarily give a head fake. He doesn't really give a fake outside the DB's frame. He just kind of gives this split where his feet are almost close together, right? And again, a lot of receivers make that same mistake. A lot of receivers have the same thing happen. But when we just force the release to the outside, this DB wants us to do that, right? So when I'm coming off the line, if I'm trying to take this outside release on a fade, I got to really threaten him to the inside. But now when we come off the line and you give a split release, the thing about a split release a split release is exactly how it sounds, but you bring your back foot even with your front foot and you see that this DB's working to the outside, you probably want to take the inside release. You don't want to force the outside release, right? And this one's tough because we didn't really, there's a little bit of gap right here, right? There's about 2 yards. So if he runs to the inside, DB's going to get hands and reroute him to the inside. So this split release is probably not something that I would go with in this situation. I would probably work something to where I'm attacking the space, I'm closing the distance, I'm trying to get him on his heels, and I'm really selling a move to the outside or to the inside, right? I would probably close, this is something that maybe we could have done. I would probably close the distance with him him and try to get a read on how he's going to play. And if he wants to shuffle to the outside like this, I would probably throw a move to the outside, take the inside release, and work to restack. Just the one thing that you cannot do, receivers, is force the outside release. Because if you force the outside release, this is what's going to happen. This DB is going to get hands, and it's no fault of our own. We just took the wrong release. He's getting me right into the sideline. So we just got to make sure that I give that quarterback space. I would rather take an inside release, work to restack, and at least have some space for the quarterback to drop this thing, kind of like what we're talking about when you keep your head down on a fade and this quarterback's trying to throw you open. I'd rather take the inside release, work to restack, so this guy can throw it outside. Don't listen to the coaches who tell you got to always take an outside release on a fade. You got to always take an outside release on a corner. You got to always take an inside release on a dig. That's wrong. You guys can take whatever release you want. There are a couple different routes where you got to kind of take an outside release or an inside release, but for the most part, you should be able to run every single route on that tree with an inside or an outside release. That's how good of a route runner we have to be. That's how we have to think of this. Let's watch it again full speed. I would probably in this situation go with a different release and make sure that I don't force that outside release. So I got to give my quarterback some space to throw me open. All right, guys, we want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to leave those in the comments below. I always appreciate the feedback. Always appreciate the things you guys have to say. It helps me come up with new ideas for videos, so I definitely appreciate it. Means a lot. And also, fellas, again, in-season 28-day wide receiver gym training program, all the things wide receivers need to do in the gym to take their skills to that next level and maintain the gains that they've made in the offseason. A lot of times, guys lose speed, they lose explosiveness simply because of lack of working out and lack of doing things, and that's what this program is specifically designed for wide receivers. Hope you guys could check that out. Very first link in the description. I'll see you guys next time.